to Jessica to introduce herself.
Sure. Thanks, Bear. I am Jessica Stowers, Managing Director of Impact. I don't know, fun fact, I've been with City Year since 2009. So that's fun. I was a core member, team leader, and then all the titles won't make sense to you until you know what the heck they mean. So excited for y'all to join. What I do in my current role is I lead the department of the folks that are on the ground level, so the core members. But I manage the directors, who manage the managers, who manage the core members, and team leaders. And so just to give you scope. But I really enjoy these sessions, and I'm glad to be here today. And I will pass it over to Jenny.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny. I'm Impact Director here at City Year Detroit. I've been with the organization for about 4 years now. And in my role, I support managers who will be supporting you all, and excited to start to put some names to faces today. I will pass it to Jameson.
Got to find my unmute. Hi, I'm Jameson Marsh. I'm an Impact Manager here at City Year Detroit. And I'll talk more about that later, but I'll pass it over to Key.
Hi, my name is Key. I'm a team leader. This is my second year serving with City Year, second year being a team leader, and I'm currently serving at Burns Elementary Middle School. I'm excited to see you all and answer any questions that you have. Oh, and I will pass it to Brittany.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see you all and see where you all are from. I'm really excited. My name is Brittany Yost. I am a team leader at Mason Academy. This is my 3rd year with City Year Detroit. I love it here, and we'll get into more about what a team leader is and what the year of service looks like, but really excited to be here with you all and get to know you all. And I think I'm the last person, correct?
Yep, I think so. I think that's everyone that's on the call from staff. Awesome. Jenny, I'm just going to ask that you can kind of monitor the lobby and let people in as they come. I'm having trouble with one person. I'm not sure what's going on there, but
yeah, I can do that.
Awesome. Thank you. Cool. So again, if you are just joining us, if you want to drop your name and where you're calling in from in the chat, just as a way for us to kind of get to know everyone a little bit. And we're actually going to do this in another form here with a warm up. So we're going to do a quick Menti. You can type in that link and I'll actually drop it in the chat too. Oops. Do it. And then it's a one question and it's where you are from. And then we'll get a little word cloud of where we're all from. You're going to need to use that code as well. Well, you're all going to have to just type in the code because it won't let me copy and paste. So just go to https:// menti.com and type in this code. And there should be one question. And as those come in, we should be able to see. Oh, here we go. Oh, we got one Detroit, some Indiana, New Hartland, Michigan, Northville. I'll toggle back to in case you all still need the code there.
I put it in the chat too, Bear.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. See if we refresh it, if we get some more here. Oh yeah, here we go. West Bloomfield, Bloomfield Hills Township, Southfield, Jackson. Oh, we got a Boston. Ludington, so a lot of Michigan. Quite a few of Detroit. I believe the biggest one is the most common one. Oh yeah. Milwaukee, so some out-of-towners too. All right, I think we're close to a critical mass here. So good, we got a good representation on the call here. A few folks from out of state, a lot of Southeast Michigan, but some other parts of Michigan as well. So welcome everybody. As I said, we're excited to have you and to talk a little bit about service with you. So the first thing I wanted to share with you all is a resource. And so after we're done with this call, I'm going to send out a recording of this call. I'm going to send out this PowerPoint deck, and I'm also going to send out some housing resources to y'all. One of the things that's in this deck that I want to bring your attention to use is this map of City of Detroit. So you can see this is a screenshot here, but this little blue house, that is Detroit's office, City of Detroit's office. And then all those other little pins that are dropped there are the schools that we serve in. So this can give you a little bit of an idea of how spread out we are in Detroit and how our schools are kind of broken up into the east side and the west side of the city. When you get this, you should be able to click the link on this page here. It says CYD map right up above there. And hopefully this can help you all in looking at housing, looking at different things, but you'll be able to type in and navigate this map with the pins already here. And so I would encourage you all to use this map, however, you know, whatever best suits your needs, just to have an idea of where schools are and kind of orient yourself to the city a little bit. A brief sort of like overview. You know, Detroit's downtown, if you've ever been, is right here on the river. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, but the city of Detroit is actually a very large landmass. Yeah, this is a resource for you all, just to give you an idea of this, where the schools are that we're serving in. And so when you're looking at housing too, you can kind of try to centrally locate yourself to some of the schools so that, you know, whichever school you're placed in, you don't have too hard of a commute to get to where you need to go. So that'll be one of the tools that we use. We're going to talk a little bit more about each of these schools as well as service, but wanted to make sure that you all know that in this deck is this resource for you all. So now I'm actually going to pass it to Jenny to talk a little bit more in depth about our service in Detroit.
Great. So on the screen, you see a little bit more about City of Detroit here. And so our goal for next year is 116 core members. That includes all of you on this call, plus a lump sum of other first-year core members, so those that are serving with City Year for their first time. That also includes some core members who are returning for a second year. So we have some core members that served this year and said, hey, I'd like to do this again, either continuing to work with students or in a leadership role. And so you will get to meet some of those folks on your first day. At City of Detroit, we're in 11 schools. In Detroit, it's very common for elementary and middle schools to be in the same building. And so we're in 8 schools that are kindergarten through 8th grade, and then 3 high schools, and we serve roughly 7,500 students. Go to the next slide, Bear. So this gives you a lot of information. I realize lots of words on the screen, but you'll be able to look at it in more detail after the call when Bear sends the information out. But here are the names of our K-8 schools. One thing to note in that in these schools, we serve grades 3 through 8th grade. So we serve the 3rd graders up through the 8th graders. These schools, when you look at the names on the screen, some are on the east side of Detroit, some are on the west side of Detroit. And then they also range in the number of students. So we have schools that are on the smaller side, so about 300 students out in the building. And then we have schools on the larger size, about 1,000 schools in the building. And then the core members in each of these schools depends on. So you might have a team that has about 8 core members. You might have a team that has more or less, and that depends on the core members. But one thing to note is that no matter what school you are placed in, there are students that are really excited to work with you next year.
Sorry about that. I don't know where this thing's coming from.
That is all good. So those were the K-8s, the 8 K-8s, and then here are our 9th grade schools. So we're in 3 here are our high schools. We're in 3 high schools. One thing to note, in the high schools, we only work with 9th graders. We have one school that's interesting. So Central High School and Durfee Elementary School, they're on the same campus. And so they're technically 2 schools, but one principal, same campus. And we have one large team of 14 core members that supports both schools, or that works together to support both schools. And I am going to pass it to Jameson next.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. As I said earlier, my name is Jameson Marsh. I'm an impact manager here at City Year Detroit. This is me and my dog Scout out on Leopold Street, which is right across from my apartment in the Eastern Market, outside Eastern Market Brewing Company. So as an impact manager, I oversee a team of AmeriCorps members at Noble Elementary Middle School. I'm coming on to the end of my 2nd year there. It's been an amazing 2 years. We've done a lot of really cool things. The school, we've been there nearly 10 years. So they have a really great history with City Year. Really appreciate all the work and things that we do. What brought me to City Year is I completed my master's in public affairs and nonprofit management from Indiana University. So go Hoosiers. I don't think there's anybody else from Indiana there. My experience that brought me to City Year specifically was I served as an AmeriCorps member. First in NCCC, which is the National Civilian Community Corps out in Denver, Colorado. And then after I completed my bachelor's, I served as a VISTA, which is Volunteer in Service to America, the sort of like original AmeriCorps program in the College of Charleston in South Carolina. So a lot of experience with service and understanding what it means to give a year to your community and to give a year to others. And so working with City Year, working with you as core members, future core members, is something that's really important to me because I understand how impactful it can be, not only on you, but also the students and the communities that you work in. A year feels like a long time when you start it, but as we're finishing up our 2nd school year, our school year here in Detroit, like we're reflecting on the year and just thinking about, wow, we did so much this year. Even when it felt like every day we felt like we weren't doing as much as we could. But when you look back on, the 10 or 11 months that you'll be here, there's so much that you can do and so many great relationships and connections that you can make. And as a manager and as somebody, a lot of you, this may be your first position, like it's a really important step for you, but also a really important step for the people that you serve. And it's always great to like look back on that time and feel like you accomplished something and you were able to do so much with so many people around you. And I will pass it over to Brittany.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Brittany Yost. So I've served with City Year now for 3 years. So I've been a first-year core member, and I've also done RAD Summer Associate, and I've also been a second-year core member. And both those 2 first years, I served at Central Durfee in 6th and 7th grade math. And now I'm currently a team leader at Mason Academy. So I've served at 2 different schools. And then I will be an impact manager this coming year. So super excited about that. Big news. It's new news too. So really excited. Every time I talk about it, I get really excited. So while I serve, I think it's kind of changed for me year by year. It's kind of a lengthy answer sometimes, but I'll make it short. The main reason I continue to serve is my students of Durfee Elementary / Middle, which is connected to Central Academy or Central High School. And so I did not join City Year initially thinking I would be the main person growing. I did it for my students, and I wanted to work in education and make a more equitable education. But my students have taught me so much more than I think I even taught them. And that's why I continue to stay with City Year, because I love everything about City Year, and I've met so many great students, so many great administrators, teachers, and lifelong friends. So it's just a place that I don't want to leave anytime soon. And the students that I started with are graduating junior high this year. So super exciting that one, I've been around that long to see that, even though I wasn't a team leader there this year, but plan on going to their graduation, and I'm really excited for them. And it's kind of like the circle, even though it's just junior high, going to high school, it's still a really big thing, and love to be a part of that. And then also, so I do live in Detroit now. I relocated from Sylvania, Ohio. So my favorite part of Detroit is my neighborhood. So I love the community I am in and around. I live on the west side of Detroit off of Livernois in 6 Mile. So I love going to a bunch of the Black-owned businesses on Livernois, and they're all within walking distance. And also, I love coffee shops. I'm a huge coffee drinker, drinking a coffee right now. So my favorite thing to do is kind of on a Saturday is walk to a local coffee shop. Yeah, I do it sometimes alone, or you can do it with a friend, and then also just walk around and see what's around you. I've also met a lot of great friends in my neighborhood, and I talk to them. We all hang out. So yeah, I'm not from Detroit, but it is now my new home, and I can't imagine living anywhere else, honestly. It's became a huge part of me. And yeah, if you have any more questions throughout this process, I've been here for 3 years. I know I have some experiences and insights to give you all. And so I will link my email and phone number in the chat if you have any questions, which I'm sure you all will during this presentation. But I'm really excited to get to know you all. And I'll pass it to Key.
Thank you. So yeah, hello again. My name is Kiera Menifee. I also go by Key for short. Again, this is my second year serving as a team leader. I served at Gompers Elementary Middle School last year, and I'm serving at Burns this year, Burns Elementary Middle. So why I decided to serve, just to give back to DPSCD. I went to DPS schools and it really shaped me and my beliefs and my goals that I have today. So yeah, and I'm from Detroit, so I feel like this is a great opportunity to just give back to my community. One of my favorite parts about Detroit, my hometown, so I'm biased, but the city is huge, and there's always a lot of different events going on, people putting on events, businesses, and just a lot of opportunities to give back to the community. And since the city is so big, you think that you've seen a lot, really you haven't seen anything, and it's always something new to discover. So my favorite part about serving, like Brittany mentioned, the growth. It's a long year, but it's also a short year. And in that year, you get to see your students grow. I get to see how my teams grow and myself, of course, as well as just the community building and bonding opportunities within service. And you'll see once you have your L&D, learning and development days and stuff together as a whole core and stuff, that community building. Most challenging part about serving for me is just the emotional attachments to the work that we have and to the communities that we serve. And plus it being my hometown, it's like an extra emotional attachment for me, but it works out and we have each other to lean on. So yeah, and then as well as like time management, work-life balance, which you'll also have support on from your team, from staff. But yeah, it can be a little hard with work-life balance. And lastly, of course, after challenges, how do we self-care after service? So I was self-caring by journaling out any repetitive thoughts from like instances of services, and then just meditation. And I love video games, so I'll escape into video games. And I also included my contact information, which you can get when Bear sends out the PowerPoint after the event. So yeah, I'm passing it back to you, Bear.
Thanks, Key, and thanks, Brittany and Jameson as well. Appreciate you all sharing a little bit about your experience with City Year, and obviously these folks are going to stay on the call with us. And so if you have questions during the Q&A portion, please feel free to ask direct questions to them if you want. So I just wanted to share a very, very brief and simple sort of layout of Detroit, some of the neighborhoods and places where core members live. So this map here, this is kind of, at least in my experience, the way most Detroiters talk about Detroit. And so predominantly talking about the east side and the west side. And so when you're in service with us, you'll hear a lot of people talk about whether or not they serve in east side schools or west side schools, or if they live in the east or west side or deep east people. And then there's a few smaller neighborhoods that some people talk about, like New Center and Corktown, Southwest Detroit. So this is definitely not all encompassing. There are neighborhoods and, areas within the city that have their own like unique community and like a name for their community. But this is sort of the most basic version in thinking about Detroit. And so some of the popular, neighborhoods in Detroit are like Corktown, East English Village, Indian Village, Midtown, Brightmoor, Fitzgerald, Highland Park. These are places where core members like live, and we have schools in some of these neighborhoods as well. And so these are good places to like look and start your search for housing if you haven't already. Additionally, some cities that are close by that core members have lived in and sort of commuted into the city from in the past are places like Ferndale. Southfield's a really popular one. Grosse Pointe, Dearborn, Hamtramck, Hazel Park. Hamtramck, I don't know if you all can see my cursor, but Hamtramck is like a city within the city of Detroit. I've never seen anything like that before in some of the cities I've been in. So it's completely surrounded by Detroit, but is a different city. These are neighborhoods and cities to think about as you're looking for housing. Additionally, I'm going to send you out, like I said, a housing resource in addition to this PowerPoint deck and recording. And in there, you'll find links to different neighborhoods and some places that core members that have served in the past have suggested as good places to live. Obviously not all of them are going to be open and you'll have to do some searching on your own, but wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of places to look and think about as you're thinking about housing. Just a little bit about transportation in Detroit. And so Jenny found this great map on the right here, and I think it really kind of shows what a lot of people don't know about Detroit, and that is that Detroit's a big landmass. You could fit these three very populated cities inside the land area that Detroit's in. And so San Francisco, Boston, and Manhattan, which together have, almost, over 2 million people, almost 3 million people, could fit inside the landmass that Detroit has, and our population is just under 1 million. So Detroit really is a big landmass, right? And so in a lot of cities where, people are like really living on top of each other and stuff, like that's not always the case in Detroit. Because we're so big though, we do have public transportation, but it's really not anything extensive. We have things like the Smart Bus and the Q line that goes a limited, distance. But the vast majority of the people that serve with City Year, and I would say the vast majority of people that probably live and work in Detroit get around through carpool or driving themselves or bike, if you're living not too far. And so I just want to put that in your minds now, because obviously there's other cities that you think about that have really robust public transportation that isn't necessarily the case in Detroit. So a majority of our members drive or carpool. And then for those of you thinking about, if you have familiarity with other big cities, parking isn't that big of an issue, especially at the schools we serve. If you bring your car, you're going to have parking, and you're not going to have to worry about buying a permit or anything like that. Obviously there's parts of the city where there's metered parking and stuff like that, but as far as commuting, from your home to the school, that shouldn't really be much of an issue. So just some things to think about. And if you intend not to carpool or bring a car, to really make sure that you're mapping out if there is public transportation from where you're living. So now I just want to open the space because I think it's really important that we, particularly honor folks that are from and live in Detroit already and are staying here to do service. You all that have been here your, entire lives or good chunks of your lives have a lot of wisdom and knowledge. And so I want to open it up to folks on the call. that are confirmed to serve here that are from Detroit. And if you want to use the hand raising feature, I can call on folks if you want to share anything that you want to add about living in Detroit, whether it's transportation or housing or anything like that. We're still going to cover some more things around housing and budgeting and stuff, but I wanted to open this space to folks on the call who are from Detroit that want to share anything about the city that they live in, that they love. So no pressure, but I will open it up if you want to use the raised hand feature. I'm happy to call on some folks that want to share anything. Yeah, so I'll open that up to. Oh. Go ahead. Who's raising their hand, Jacob? Or no, Najee.
Hi, everyone. My name is Najee Jones. I was born and raised in Detroit. I went to DPS schools my entire school career up until college. I will say the city has a lot of nonprofit organizations that, are always having events and for different things, for, just to enjoy yourself while the school year is going, to get out and to make a couple different connections. So that's all.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyone else? Any more of our Detroiters that want to say anything? Definitely no pressure. I know it's a new space and it can be squishy talking in front of this big group of people. So go ahead, Angel.
Okay, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my camera's off because my connection is really rough. But I
Or
was just I'm in the same boat. Like I was a part of the DPSCD schools, and I'm from Detroit, born and raised. And with that, something I think something I noticed with a lot of my friends is that they associate Detroit with just the downtown area, but it's not just the downtown area. And I think it's important to emphasize that, taking time to really explore outside of that little hub of the gentrified space, just being honest, is something very key. And I think Detroit is amazing. So I don't know, just don't let the downtown Detroit define what you view Detroit as. Definitely get out, explore, and connect with people who are from the area who can kind of give you a tour, let you know some great spaces to take to go to outside of the downtown space. But yes, Detroit is not just downtown Detroit.
Awesome, thank you. And absolutely accurate. Well, thank you both, Angel and Najee. I would encourage you all, where you feel comfortable to be active in the Facebook group when folks are asking questions, and this is your city, and there's going to be people coming in to try and help out, and it should definitely be led by the folks that are from here. So thank you for sharing that, and we will continue on. We got a few more slides to go through. We're just going to talk a little bit about benefits and support around relocation. So these are just some tips, and again, like I said, I'll be sharing out some links and some helpful places to start with housing, but these are things to keep in mind, especially considering that we're starting in just a little under 2 months here. Housing is without a doubt the most important and stressful aspect of the beginning of service anyways. We definitely provide some supports, and we're going to, and I'm here to help answer questions, and where it makes sense, bring in other folks from the City of Detroit staff to help. If you have questions about places to live or what to expect, but ultimately finding housing is on each individual member. We can't really, not that we can't really, we can't sign a lease for you. We can't, find someone and just place you in a house. So that's really going to be up to you to find and secure that housing. And so a few tips around that is we highly encourage folks to live with roommates. This helps, defray the cost of rent. And it also at least from my view, makes it a lot easier to have folks to lean on for different things. Like I said, especially in a city where there's not a lot of public transportation, and in general, living in a city, it's always smart to like be traveling in packs. So currently, like, definitely recommend living with roommates. Obviously, some of you that are from Detroit or from near Detroit may be living at home and commuting. That's totally fine, but definitely encourage living with roommates. We also really encourage you to find a house that you can move into before registration, and registration is going to be the week of July 19th. It's not like, I don't want you to stress out and think like, oh, if I don't have a place by then, I'm screwed. That's not necessarily the case, but I really feel that like if you're able to find that prior to registration and starting service with us, it makes that transition a little bit easier. So you're not trying to move while at the same time have your documents for registration and be running around the, city trying to figure things out while you're also trying to start a new job. So I really encourage folks to find a place that you can move into by the week of July 19th, so you can kind of be settled by the time you go through registration and then start service with us on August 2nd. Another thing to think about, and something that I know when I first moved into my own place didn't think about and was really, troublesome, is like start to save as soon as you can, because typically when you're like renting a place, you're going to need 3 months of rent up front, because generally places ask you to pay first and last month's rent plus a security deposit. After you move out, you should get your security deposit back if you left the apartment in good shape. There's no major damages and stuff like that, but really important that you start thinking about saving money now, or figuring out how you can get the funds together to pay up to 3 months rent on a place to start. Also, and I already talked about this along the interactive map and some other resources. I'm going to share links to housings at ACMs in the past. And sorry, we didn't really talk about lingo. ACMs is AmeriCorps members. Student Success Coaches is like another title for y'all, but our service members, ACMs, share some information that they've provided about places that they know are good places to live, or links to apartments that they've lived in the past. So also I'll be sharing that. And then additionally, I really encourage everyone to start thinking about putting together a budget, because obviously we know that like you get paid a stipend, and it's not a huge amount of money, but it is meant to be enough for you to live on, and not just live, but also be able to have some fun and do things that you want as well. And so your stipend amount is going to be $1,356 pre-tax per month. That's $678 biweekly, and that's how you will receive it. $678 pre-tax every 2 weeks for as long as you're in service with us. And so it's important to start thinking about some of these things. And these are just examples. You know your lifestyle better than anyone. Average rent prices for Corps members in Detroit, they find places generally, and this is like folks living with roommates and stuff, for $400 to $600 a month. So something to think about, up to one paycheck every month could go to rent, and then the rest can go to all these other things. I strongly encourage all of our Corps members to take advantage of our food assistance. You're eligible for getting food stamps through the state. It's not the same for everyone. It depends on different, things in your life that you pay, and whether you have kids and who you're living with, and there's a whole bunch of things that go in it, but it's generally $100 to $200 a month that you can use on food, and then all these other things as well that you'll need to think about. So I encourage folks to put something together like this and sort of plan it out, especially for that last line there, if that's something that you're looking to do this year. If you're looking to be really frugal and actually save some money through this core year, budgeting is a really important tool to use, I think. Yeah. I'm not sure why it took me out, but we'll go back here. And then some relocation benefits. So these are some benefits that City Year provides to anyone that's moving more than 50 miles to serve with City Year. So if where you're currently living, you're going to be moving 50 miles or more to serve with us, you'll be eligible for relocation assistance and transitional housing. So the relocation assistance is something that you will just opt into. It's a one-time $500 payment to kind of help you offset the cost of relocation. Unfortunately, or you don't get that until your first or second paycheck. There's no way for us to get that to you prior to actually starting work with us. So it's not something that we can give you to sort of help immediately, but it's something that, if you can find the funds, you will get that extra money if you're moving more than 50 miles to serve with us. And it is taxable. So just make sure you keep that in mind as well as if you're thinking about using it. And then additionally, again, if you're moving more than 50 miles, we do have some transitional housing funds available. So if you were not able to secure housing by the time we're supposed to start, we can help provide transitional housing for you for up to 6 nights until you can get settled into a place. So say, for example, you're moving more than 50 miles. Say, we have someone from Boston. Say you're moving from Boston and you can't, move into your apartment until August 1st for some reason. We could help you, with a few nights in a hotel or an Airbnb. So things to think about if you're moving more than 50 miles, you will have access to these benefits. And I'm going to pass it over to Jessica for this next part. And Jessica, do you want me to leave this screen up, or would you like to see everyone?
No, that screen is fine for now. Thanks, Bear, and thanks everybody who shared before me. So just wanted to pass along a little information just about next year in general. So this year is going to be really important. I think we all know the effects of the pandemic in general, maybe on us, but also the importance of what going back to some sense of normalcy is going to be like for next year for students. It is 5:42, but both of my boys are not around me, but I do have a young student, a young scholar who will be going to 3rd grade. And I know how important additional supports are going to be once he gets back in school and once school gets back started. And so I say that to say there are teachers have a really heavy job this year coming up, but external providers, organizations that will support are going to be really important. And City Year is a really, really important organization based off of the supports we're able to provide for the core members and the training. And so you have a big job for next year that is really needed. And I want to get ahead of it and say I appreciate all of you for applying and stepping forward to be able to fill these very big shoes. I say that also to say, school is set to be in person right now. And so, I know that is also a topic that we're encouraging staff to begin to transition. Like you notice a lot of us are, Jameson is in the office, but a lot of us are at home as well and bouncing back and forth in person. And we are really looking forward to launching fully in person in the next couple of weeks for all of us. And so just wanted to make sure that was said. But then with that, there's still opportunity to apply. We still have spots that are open. And so what I'm hoping that folks do is think about 2 friends that could be a great fit for this position. And so Jenny is going to be dropping a link in the chat, because you may have some friends. I know I have some friends that I could be like, hey, I'm doing this cool thing. You should apply. And then I'd just drop that link to them and tell them, go do this thing because I'm doing this thing and it's going to be great. You also may have someone who might be on the fence. You think they'd be a good fit. They may have some questions, and you know that if you sent them a link, they would do some follow-up on their own, which is great. And if so, Jenny's going to drop a link to Allie's Calendly link, and they can click and schedule literally any type of meeting that they would like to with our recruiter, Allie Knox. But then lastly, you may have someone that's like, I already told them that, Jessica, and they're not really feeling it. But if Allie or Justin were to contact them, then maybe they would get some questions out there and maybe they would be interested in applying. And so if so, you can email me directly with that person's contact information I want to make sure that I keep you in the loop on where your homies are, should you pass along their info. And we also want to make sure that you get some love and appreciation for getting other folks applied for City Year experience. And so I just wanted to make sure that folks had that information. Also, that you've heard from me. I know the questions are starting to flow in the chat. And so I am going to pause talking there, throw it over to Bear to kind of facilitate some of the questions. And Jenny and I will try to answer as many as we can. Should you have questions for folks about their experiences, obviously feel free. Jenny, you can probably hop on some of the Audible. I can take care of the chat that way. Whatever medium you're most comfortable with, go for it.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, and I just want to double tap. I think that, City Year's been around since 1988, and last year's and this year's cores, I think, truthfully, are two of the most important cores we've ever had, just because we've been going through a pandemic, and it's been very, not settled for students. So I'm going to come back up and try and see if I missed any questions in the chat.
Yeah, Bear, there's one that I was going to type the response to. We do generate income employee verification letters that verify how much money you will be making on a biweekly basis. We last year did something really cool, and we were able to generate those pretty quickly and send folks those electronically. And so should that be something you feel like you need right away, please connect with us. Otherwise, we'll be sure to get those letters generated. And then Jenny, you want me to just take this other one, and then I'll really stop talking. Bear, I was trying to avoid you having to scroll up through all the apply now links.
Yeah, no worry.
And then Autumn had a question about how you apply for the relocation benefit. That is something that we take care of at registration day. I've also started noting folks that are coming from Boston and Milwaukee and LA and things like that. You'll also have a survey to fill out. If you don't have that already, that will also ask if that's something that you're in need of. And so we capture that information quite a few different ways, but not like a formal application that you have to apply for it. Jenny can take this.
Awesome. Was there another question in there already?
It looks like there was one more question. Do we need to be vaccinated since schools will be in person? At this time, City Year's policy does not require staff or core members to be vaccinated.
Awesome. Yeah, so this is great. So at this time, we'll definitely open it up for Q&A. We've got some time here. So if you would like to drop something in the chat, that's great. Or if you'd like to take yourself off mute and ask a question, that's what we're here to do. Just as a reminder, we've got several different levels of staff on the call. We've got some currently serving core members on the call. So whatever questions you might have, whether it's about something we covered or not, I would encourage you to ask it in this space, because even if it's a question that more than one person likely has. So I see Kaylee raising their hand. So Kaylee, go ahead and take yourself off mute. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Hi, my name is Kylie, and I go by she, her pronouns. I'll just throw that in there. And yeah, so I'll be working with City Year Detroit. I'm super excited. My dad is actually from there, so I know a little bit about the city. But I was wondering, I did come in late, so I'm not sure if this was already answered, but where will training take place, or will we find that out closer to the date?
I will defer to Jenny and Jessica on that if they have information on that.
It's so hard trying to lock eyes with someone over a computer screen to see who's going to take the question. Jenny, you came off, you went back on mute. Okay. We are currently in the process of solidifying where training will take place. So Jameson is in our brand new office. We have a floor in a building. Yeah, I was gonna say like turn around, it's like beautiful, but then I was like, wait a second, like is your computer plugged in and whatnot? And so our office space does accommodate quite a few folks, being able to also socially distance. There's some options that we're looking at in terms of where we'll be, but we will be in the Detroit area. All of our options are relatively close to our office space for training. And we're looking to have that locked down over the next couple to few weeks. And that is a chalkboard wall that was actually colored by one of Jameson's amazing corps members, Mickey, who will be returning next year. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kylie. What other questions might folks have? Or things that you're wondering about, clarifying questions? Najee, go ahead.
Hi, I seen in the chat that somebody asked were we going to have to be vaccinated, considering school is going to be in person this year. I didn't see whether it was answered or not.
Yeah, as of right now, City Year's policy does not require you to be vaccinated. So that's the policy as it stands today.
Thank you.
I have a question about registration. I saw like in one of the earlier emails, it was mentioned like the 22nd through the 26th. Are we like kind of sure on those dates of July? And like just more about, I guess, what does registration exactly entail for us?
If I can take that one. So registration, it will span across several days, but you will only come on a select day. So you'll get to sign up for a slot. During that, on that day, you'll bring your documents, and we're going to have another call a little bit closer to registration day that goes all through the details, but I'm sure Bear has already shared with you to get them ready. So it's a passport or a birth certificate, social security card, and then ID or driver's license. So if you don't have those documents readily available, start to look for them or apply for them now. So you'll bring your documents. So we do an I-9 and a AmeriCorps verification. You also get hooked up with your technology. So we have Chromebooks for corps members. You get to pick out your uniform sizes. And there's some more information. So it's kind of like rotating through different stations. So you'll pick up a slot that works for you and your schedule during those days and be at our office for probably about an hour or so. There'll also be some sessions that you'll be required to watch, but those will be virtual that you can watch sort of on demand. And so some information about your benefits and a little bit more about just the service agreement as a member of our program.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Just to address a few things in the chat too. I do believe Autumn created a GroupMe. That's not something that that I run or that someone at CUID runs, but I know Autumn created that for other folks that wanted to get in a group chat. Also, there is a Facebook group too. That was in the email that I sent about registration and the original welcome email as well. I can post that in the chat quickly as well. Those are kind of, the Facebook chat is where any official lines of communication will come as well as email, but Autumn also dropped the chat, the GroupMe chat in there as well. Does anyone feel like super jazzed about walking through like a typical day for a core member? It looks like Miel was. Brittany, do you want to go ahead and take that?
Yeah, I love this question. So normally, school by school kind of varies on the time, but when you start, but normally we used to circle, which that's where you all like get into a circle and you guys there's these things called joys, ripples, and appreciation. So basically you just get to really see where everyone's at in the morning, where their headspace is. I love circle actually. And then normally that takes about 15 minutes. Your IM and TL will give you any announcements that they have for the day, any things that may be out of the ordinary happening, like an event, or you have to check your email for something that's time sensitive and so forth. And then it's usually like 5-minute break and you all will go outside normally if the weather is good. And this is my favorite part. It's always been my favorite part. You get to welcome in the students. They get off the buses or they walk, and you will do these things called, you'll do like little cheers, and you also just get to talk to your students. And it's really my favorite part. It's always been my favorite part. And then they go to their class, they, put their books and stuff away in their backpacks. And then normally you'll go to the city room, grab your stuff, and then you will go to your class with the partner teacher that you have. And then you'll just kind of depending on the schools and what grade you're in, it may look different. You may support 2 teachers or 1, and you'll just kind of follow a group of students throughout their day. And you'll be either supporting in math or ELA, which is English. And so during that time, you'll be in the space with your teacher and students. And then after you're trained, and it kind of normally happens in October, sometimes a little later, you'll get a focus list. So you'll be working with normally 12 to 14 individuals in smaller groups. And you will take these students and you will work with them on math or ELA. And we'll definitely, don't be scared. We train you all on that, and it's really great academic training. And then normally those will be from anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. You may see a few groups that day, you may not. And then you'll go back to class, you'll support in class, and you'll kind of do that throughout the day. And then around 3 o'clock, the end of the school day, normally they will be dismissed. My other favorite part of the day, you normally will go outside with them and kind of help them get to the buses, say goodbye to them, because it's kind of a process. It usually takes like 15 minutes, and especially if like students are getting picked up. So you'll really just be there to support, making sure everyone gets home safely, and just saying goodbye to them, and making sure that they know that you want to see them the next day and everything like that. And then you normally will go back into the city year room, and you all will sometimes have working time. Sometimes you have after school programs. So it's sometimes an academic after school program. I've had it both ways, where sometimes like Tuesdays, we would work on homework help, and then the last 30 minutes, the core members will do something fun with their students. But normally that's only twice a week. And then in other days, we have team meetings. That's normally a weekly thing. Love team meetings as well, because you usually do team builder. It really strengthens the dynamic of the team. And then yeah, it all varies of what your IM and TL have planned on the after school day. And I think that's about it summarized.
Yeah, that's awesome, Brittany. Yeah, and there is variation. So, and that's a good example of what might look like. Jenny, I was wondering, I know, Jessica, you answered the question about partner teacher. Jenny or Jessica, I'm wondering if one of you want to briefly touch on school placement, and as part of that, maybe mention about like being paired with one teacher or with a group of students.
Sure, yep, I can take that one. I know there was a question earlier about when you will know your school placement. It's usually about the 3rd week of service, so you won't know it the first day, but there is a placement survey that you may have completed already. If not, it's something you'll have to complete. And so in that survey, it takes into consideration all types of information. So you put where you're living, who you're living with, do you have a car, what's your transportation situation, what experience do you have tutoring? So maybe you've got experience working with 9th graders, maybe you've got experience in working with 3rd graders. A few other other questions, there's even a spot for notes at the bottom. So put all the information that you have in there. That actually goes into a formula that places people at our schools. We take a look at that, make sure everything looks right. The goal is really to make teams as diverse as possible. So diverse in terms of your background, and so we want teams to be able to learn from each other. So that information goes into consideration for their school placement. We make sure no one's got a super long commute. We do our best there. And then once you're placed at a school, we also take more information into consideration. So again, do you like working with the younger students? Do you have experience working with the older students? And then take that information to factor you in a placement that we feel that you're going to be most successful in. And so you're placed in a grade level with a partner teacher. And so you usually remain with that partner teacher in that grade level for the entire year, supporting that specific grade for students and getting to know those students. I think that's the important thing about working with the same group of kiddos, is that you get to form a great relationship with them throughout the year.
Thanks, Jenny. I know we're getting a little over time here. Please don't feel the need to stay on. I'm going to send this recording out, but I will stay on for a little bit longer to see if anyone else has any other questions. Thank you all for joining. And yeah, go ahead and keep asking questions. Drop them in the chat or feel free to log off. Appreciate everyone staying on. Go ahead, Reed.
So this is more of a question for my personal situation. I already filled out the survey and I didn't write down everything I think I should have in the notes because the prompt wasn't quite what was suggested just now in chat. Is there a way to go back and change that, or could I send someone an email to update kind of some of the past experiences I've had? I've had tutoring experience in the past, but it was in an unofficial capacity, and it was also with varying age groups. So I didn't really talk about that very much.
Yep, you can go ahead and take the survey again, and we'll just we'll look at the most recent one. So if that goes for anyone, if you notice if your housing changes or just information is not in the survey, you can go ahead and take that link again.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, definitely. Redo that if you need to. And we'll look at the most recent one.
I had a quick question, Max. Well, one, based off that, where would that link be for filling out for the schools? Just because I don't think that's come across my email or anything yet. Yeah, so if you, this is something definitely reach out to me about. If you feel like you're hearing things that you haven't gotten an email about, chances are 90% chance it's in your spam folder. But if you still can't find it, definitely reach out to me and I can make sure you get that. But that will be in an email that I sent about 2-3 weeks. I don't remember when it was, but it was a big long list of things that you need to complete. And one of the last things on there was the placement survey. All right, cool. I'll just go back and make sure because I know there are lots of emails from you. And then my second question was something I threw in the chat that's more personal, but I've been committed for City Year for a few months now. And I know that you guys weren't sure on when registration would be. You said try the week before, that last week of July. I planned a trip the week of July 19th. It was the 1 week off my dad could get. So I was wondering, would there be a makeup registration day for the following week or something like that? I would encourage you to speak directly with Jessica and tell her a little bit more about your situation, and she can help you navigate that. So shoot her an email. Okay, cool. I will shoot her an email. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yep. I can try and address your question here, Jay. What would you say is the best way to secure housing moving from another state? So my answer a year ago would have been maybe a little bit different. Through the pandemic, a lot of places have started offering virtual tours. If you call leasing offices and stuff to get virtual tours and find a place that way. And so I would encourage you to look at places that offer that. Additionally, I think finding a roommate that's on the ground in Detroit already and having them go look at places and stuff. Another option
is to, plan a trip. I don't know where you're from, if you have capacity to plan a trip out to Detroit to go look at places. So those are a few different options. I wouldn't suggest coming and hoping to rely on transitional housing and find a place in that short amount of time. If you're having a lot of trouble and you feel there's any way we can support you, definitely reach out to me and we'll do what we can. But I would really encourage you to either, take advantage of like virtual tours that leasing offices are offering, find a roommate who's in Detroit or is able to come to Detroit and secure a place for you. Find someone that nearby, if you do, that can maybe walk you through with a video chat of a place or something like that, or make a trip out to Detroit. So yeah, that's definitely one of the harder pieces is folks moving out of state. It is possible though. We have, 30s of people do it every year. And so, yeah, it can be very stressful though. And I want to acknowledge that and also let you know that it's definitely possible. Any other questions, comments from staff folks, anything? Looks like we still got a few people on. If you're more comfortable in a smaller group asking now, please do. Or if you're just trying to soak up all the information from other people, that's fine too. But definitely want to make sure everyone gets their questions answered.
I just want to say thank you for coming today. I know Bear already said that. Thank you for joining. You may be in the phase of not knowing what you don't know, so you actually don't know what questions to ask, and that is like a very real place to be too. Should you have any questions, even in between sessions, there will be more of these. Feel free to reach out to any of us. Bear does a really, really good job in just like hitting the forward button and sending questions along to folks who may need to do some follow-up. So that's always a really good avenue, or myself, Jenny, or anyone else on the call. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that as well. All right, well, I'm going to close this out for us. Again, as Jessica said, as I said before, appreciate you all being here. I am a resource for you. The folks on this call are a resource for you. So please reach out if you need anything. Otherwise, I hope you all have a good weekend after tomorrow, one more work day. So, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good night.